Hello, my name is Mary Fons. I'm a conference interpreter. I have been for many years, since 1986, and I'm a member of AIK and a founding partner at AIB. Just a while ago we recorded a demo for consecutive interpreting, and now that you've seen the demo, presumably, I will tell you about my note-taking technique just by way of example. And I should point out to begin with that this is not meant to be any sort of canonical recommendation or anything of the sort. Note-taking is extremely personal. You take notes to jog your memory. Your memory is your main tool in consecutive, but you do whatever works, as Woody Allen said for the title of his movie. And whatever works is good enough. But there are a few principles that can be helpful if your mind works that way, and this is the way my mind works for consecutive interpretation. So the first thing is that I personally like to use very large note-taking notebooks because that way I don't have to turn pages that often. See, this is an A4 size notebook, and it just makes it easier because I don't have to turn pages very frequently. And I guess I'm very clumsy-fingered or something, but I've often run into trouble trying to turn pages that just wouldn't. So this is a very good solution for me. Something else that I do before I start the consecutive is divide these pages in half with these long vertical lines along the center. This is a way to get more mileage out of a single page because of the way I lay out my notes, which I'll describe in a moment, and also in order to, again, get more out of a page and not have to turn pages that often. So, going on to the structure of my notes on the page, the way my notes are laid out, the first point is that the connecting elements, which include the greeting at the beginning usually, and also things like however, but, and so on and so forth, so things that link the main ideas in the speech, belong on the left, and I always put a diagonal line below them to show that that's just a connector. They're on the far left of the column where I'm writing, and they've got this line below just to help distinguish them from everything else. And so here we have GM, which is good morning, and the slash below. Let me see if I can find another connector. Don't seem to have many here. This is hard to read, but it says but, and again there's the line below. My handwriting is usually terrible, but it's even worse because of this pen that I had to use so that my notes would be legible on the screen. So I apologize for my even worse handwriting than usual. Then, as far as layout's concerned, my other major principle, two other major principles, are to use these double lines on the left, again, to separate main ideas, to separate main concepts. Figuring out what's an idea is definitely subjective and must be based on experience as well. But, practice does improve this sort of thing. And the last major principle that I follow is working diagonally rather than horizontally. So the main direction of work is vertical. Within a single idea, I'll go from left to right, but it's always diagonally, because it's much easier to read the notes afterwards if you've got something that's very visual. This makes it much more visual. You've got enough white space, it's visible, because again, notes are supposed to jog your memory, and the more visual it is, the faster you'll be able to get on with the production part of it. What else? I've already mentioned my poor handwriting. That's why I use a lot of symbols where I have them. I know people who know many more symbols. I don't have the imagination to come up with many. Let me show you symbols. This is now, and I can show you that this refers to the past and this refers to the future. So I can do a lot of work with that putting verbs in here, or putting in abbreviations for day or month, meaning this month or today. So you can work a lot. It's a bit like, I don't know Chinese, but I think it's a bit like Chinese in a way. What else do I have? Abbreviations, DE for German. We have this is an answer or a solution. This basically ultimately comes from my math lessons. The epsilon, the letter epsilon here stands for the economy. Anyway, these are symbols. And then you have abbreviations. And there's something I really want to say about abbreviations, and that's the importance in abbreviating, in improvising an abbreviation, to try and use the beginning of the word and the ending. I used to teach interpreting, and that was something I always had to point out to my students. I can't think of anything right here. I think I was having a little trouble with this thick pen, but you know, I kept telling students, you can't abbreviate committee, commission, and competition with just com, because otherwise you won't figure things out at the end. So that's about it, I think, and I hope these pointers will help anyone who watches this video if you're interested in this. Thank you very much.